Hi, I'm Will.
And I'm Paul. Welcome to HubSpot and Chill.
I am the founder of WeSimplifi, a certified HubSpot solutions partner that helps customers make HubSpot work for them and not against them.
And I'm the founder of RevOps HQ, also a certified HubSpot solutions partner, and we help people get the most out of HubSpot when they have advanced technical needs. All right, so in today's episode, we're going to talk about your day one survival guide if you're absolutely new to HubSpot. We're going to talk about some of the things that you do to get set up in HubSpot when you first get started, some ways to get some quick wins, and some of the biggest mistakes that Will and I have made or witnessed people make when getting set up in HubSpot. So first thing that I want to say is you got to leverage HubSpot Academy. This is going to be your number one resource. I actually see a lot of companies when they get onto HubSpot that they're probably told at some point that they need to leverage HubSpot Academy, but something doesn't click with them and they want training inside HubSpot and they keep asking for training. And I think to myself, you can self-service this solution with HubSpot. I would say that HubSpot has some basic certification courses like they have a certification called HubSpot's free marketing tools, but they also have a hub specific training. So this goes to kind of my next point, which is that you want to determine what HubSpot subscription do you have. So what you're doing on your first day in HubSpot or what you do when you're new to HubSpot is going to 100% depend on what subscription to HubSpot do you have. Do you have HubSpot Sales Enterprise? Do you have HubSpot Service Enterprise? Do you have Marketing Pro and Content Pro, right? Like these are very different configurations of HubSpot, and what you do on your first day and how you get set up is going to very much depend on which of those subscriptions that you have. But I would say the very first thing you do is you find the specific hub of the subscription that you have and you take that certification course in HubSpot. Whoever your primary stakeholders are in your HubSpot subscription, presumably some kind of HubSpot admin, as well as an executive that they report to, should be going through these HubSpot Academy materials. And then the next thing you do is you go to the little gear icon up there in the top right in HubSpot, and you just walk through the settings in your HubSpot. In the gym, we call this running the rack, where you lift all the weights from the 5-pound dumbbell up to the very heaviest one you can lift. You do the same thing in HubSpot. You go to your account profile, you connect your email, you connect your domain, you connect your scheduling link, and you just walk through those settings point by point. And eventually, whichever subscription you have will provide or display custom settings for your specific portal that will take you through subscription specific kind of day one things that you ought to be doing in HubSpot. So from a high level, Will, how did I do there? What am I missing?
No, I think you nailed it on the head. I think the biggest thing that people forget are the basics. People all the time that we'll see customers and they they haven't connected their emails. They haven't added an image into their profile. So when their meeting links are in there, there's a faceless image in the meeting link, which is missing that personal touch. So the basics, right? Understand the hub, understand the training before you dive in is huge. If you just dive in, you're going to see 1,000 different things that you can do. And I think we can probably both agree that a lot of those customers will try and do all 1,000 things when they don't really know what they're doing. So the training is a huge, huge piece. And just getting the basics, setting up your profile, setting up your account, and getting each of your users to set up your account makes a big difference. As I say, if you nail the basics, you get a good foundation, you can build off that. Skip the basics, don't have a foundation, and that house falls down pretty quick.
What have you found in your experience with training customers have been some things that have helped it click with customers where they go from feeling really incompetent in HubSpot and really intimidated in HubSpot to a point where you start to see your clients feeling comfortable, feeling competent inside HubSpot?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is getting people to understand very quickly that if you learn 20% of HubSpot, you'll know 100% of HubSpot, right? That you've got contacts, you've got companies, you've got deals. If you open up any of those records, they look the same. The left-hand side has got the information about that record. The middle has the activities and the timeline, and the right has all the associations. Doesn't matter if you're on the contact, if you're on the deal, if you're on a ticket, it's all laid out in the exact same way. So you're not having to learn 10 different views in HubSpot, it all looks the same. It all functions the same. So I think the biggest scare for customers is the fact that there's so many different buttons. There's so many different areas you can view. There's so many different ways to view it. And it's making sure that you just get them comfortable with finding the view that they need, making sure they understand that, again, they're not having to learn as much as they think they have. I think a lot of people that I've worked with, as I said, they go in, they get panicked, they think there's too much to learn, and they sort of shut off and close down. So, just taking it slowly and understanding that HubSpot is not as scary as you think it's going to be, because a lot of it is the same. I think that helps them sort of focus up more. The other piece, it's actually embarrassingly something that I've only just started using, and that is bookmarking tabs that you're going to use every day. I don't know how many tabs there are, but I reckon probably over 30 different tabs on the left-hand navigation. You can bookmark the 3 or 4 that most customers are going to use on a daily basis. Then you don't have to worry about HubSpot changing the navigation, which they do on a weekly basis at the moment. So that's another thing that, again, embarrassingly, I've only just started using, and now, yeah, all of my customers are using it, and it's making a big difference. So that's a big piece there as well.
Yeah, agreed. I only just started using it as well. Also, I think that also might be a symptom of being in the agency side of things, because you're never really in a portal long enough to need to bookmark something.
Sure.
So now that you're an operator and you're in your own HubSpot, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I want these things there. I would say also another way to get a quick win from a training perspective that I've found kind of creates this click moment for people is guiding them to the lists feature. So I think lists is a really good teaching tool, because you can create lists of companies and custom objects and deals and contacts. And through that, you can kind of learn not only about what each object is, but you kind of learn about properties. You learn about some of HubSpot's built-in magical properties, like last activity date and next activity date. And it kind of building lists and maybe even giving yourself a challenge of, hey, I want a list of deals with a close date of this month, or I want a list of contacts that have opened an email in the past 30 days, or who haven't opened an email in the past 30 days. So lists can be kind of a nice little training ground for people to kind of learn HubSpot 101 type of stuff. Yeah, and I've found people that kind of gravitate towards that as well. So what are we missing in terms of HubSpot 101? We've got go to HubSpot Academy, go to your settings, kind of run through everything that's there, set up your permissions, set up your teams. What about users? What's been your experience with this? Because I found that people want to add users right away, but I feel like there's a typical order of operations. Like before you add users, like if it's really your first day in HubSpot, before you're adding users, you should get yourself set up first, put your own airbag on first, but then also really have a think about your permission settings and your teams. Because what I'm finding is that very often people add users first, they add 15 super admins, and then they're trying to claw back permissions. And then people are complaining because they can't access the thing. They're doing it all after the fact. Have you had this experience?
No, completely. I think that's probably one of the more common things that happen, which is, oh, can we remove access for this person to this area of HubSpot? Can we remove access? Whereas, in practice, what you really want is someone to request access and give a reason of why they need that access, as opposed to not knowing everyone has full access to everything, right? So it would be better to give everyone the least amount of access possible. At the point where they've requested that access, you know why they're requesting the access. Yeah, I've never heard, well, it's not very often I hear customers asking to learn how to give more access to someone as opposed to less. So I think that's a good point. And yeah, just not adding in users. I think adding in users really depends on the scale and the size of the company. I think smaller companies can learn as a team. If there's 3 or 4 people, they might all just jump in, learn, discover themselves, and then work together to build out a HubSpot that's successful for their business. I think larger companies of sort of 10 plus people, I would always highly suggest that they have a a key stakeholder who's going to push the project and who learns how they're going to set up their HubSpot. If you bring in 10, a team of 10 people, they're all going to have their opinions. They're all going to want to set up HubSpot in a different way. And if each of them have the ability to set up HubSpot in a different way from each other, it's going to be a nightmare to report on. In 6 months' time, the data is going to be a mess. So I think team or company size dependent is whether you do get people in straight away or whether you take a step back and really try and set up HubSpot. And then when you do bring in those users, you explain to them how they're going to use HubSpot. And as much as instead of just allowing them to come in and play around. Teams of 10 or more, again, that structure I usually see as a requirement for users. Teams of sort of less than 5, generally speaking, it's good to get everyone's opinion because most of the time for a team of 5, everyone's doing a bit of everything. So there's a lot less structure there.